I'll ask you about Protocol, because I'm really interested to know, you know, why it took you so long before the first album and the second one. Was it just Toto?
Well, remember, I had done a few solo albums in between, so there was still solo records going on, but there was a long time from Vantage Point, which was the last album I did at the end of the 90s, to Protocol 2, which was in 2000 something. So that was quite a...
13, was it?
13 years? Yeah.
No, 2013, I think it was.
Yeah, 2013, absolutely. And the last record was Vantage Point, which was maybe 2000, 2001, maybe, something like that. So I'd been writing material all that time when I had the time, but two things. I didn't really quite have the time because Toto was taking up more and more time. And secondly, I wasn't happy with the material. For some reason, I just wasn't hitting it. I wasn't getting it. And I recorded about 5 songs for a solo record, which is still in the can, but didn't get it. And then I think we had some time off from Toto, and I phoned my agent in England. I said, and at that time I'd been doing PSP, I said, what do you think? Should I do another PSP tour, or should I do another solo tour? He said, definitely solo tour. I went, oh, okay, great. And then I thought about it, so I went, we should have a CD to sell. Okay, so I thought, you know what? I have the studio. If I can get the musicians, if the NAMM show's coming up, that means Andy Timmons, and I love playing with Andy. Here's my first call. Andy, want to make a record and then go out on tour? He said, sure. I said, great, okay. Then I rang Steve Weingart, because we'd been working together. Hey, Winey, do you want to make a record? And then we go out on tour in the fall. Oh, I'd love to, great. And then I phoned Melvin Lee Davis. Yo, Melvin, you want to come out and make a record and go out on tour? He said, I'd love to, but I'm playing with Shaka Khan now, and I'm going to be out on tour that time. And I said, I can do the record. I said, no, I got to have the same band, because the way the record's going to be recorded, it's going to be like a jam record. It's not going to be, you know, like the ones before. And he said, no, I understand. So I went, I rang Steve. I said, Steve, who do you think? And we went through a few bass players, and I went, He said, hey, what about Tibbs? What about Ernest Tibbs? I went, I don't know Ernest. I mean, I know the name, but I don't think we've ever played together. He said, he's great. You'll love him. And I went, fine. So I just rang Ernest and said, and I left a message. And like I was working, 20 minutes later, the phone goes, and I answer, hey, Simon, it's Ernest. I went, hey, Ernest, how you doing? Blah, blah, great. I said, would you like to make a record and then go out and tour? These are the dates. He said, yeah, love to. I went, great. But when I hung up the phone, I realized, I hope this is going to be okay, because I didn't really know he was playing, you know? Apparently we had played at a little gig kind of in LA, like the Baked Potato or Café Coryell, but I couldn't remember it. So then I put out my concept. I said, okay, guys, here's what I've got. Here's all the demos I've made in the last 9 years. I don't think any of it's any good, but maybe bits of it are okay. I sent it out, of which there were maybe 2 or 3 complete songs, and the others were bits of songs. And the feedback I got was, this is great. No, we'll make this work. This is fantastic. They loved it. And I went, oh, okay. I just, for some reason, had lost my my goal, my route, my journey had been sidetracked. I think with a lot of stuff that was going on, I just lost it, you know? And then we went in the studio, and it actually came together beautifully. We did a lot of co-writing, but based on, you know, my things here and there. We did a couple of my compositions, and it was then when I said, this feels like this should be Protocol again. And that's how that started.
I asked you about Protocol because it seemed to me that it was like, you know, a labor of love, but especially this project for you. Maybe I'm just writing, you know, reading
absolutely.
stuff into this. But
no,
that's why I was wondering why it took so long, you know.
Yeah, it is. And to me, it's my original concept of what I thought jazz rock should be. You know, at the beginning of jazz rock, I'm not going to say fusion because fusion, the word hadn't been used yet. It started off with, as far as I know, with John McLaughlin, the Mahavishnu Orchestra, Chick Corea, Return to Forever, Larry Coryell, 11th House, and Weather Report. And the great thing about those early records was the composition, especially McLaughlin, especially Joe Zawinul and Wayne Shorter. The composition was so good. They were finding their way of how to play it because, I mean, engineers didn't even know how to record it. That's why John McLaughlin got Ken Scott, an English rock and roll engineer out of Trident, to record his music because he felt it wasn't being recorded right. But what happened is that everybody started jumping on the bandwagon and I started buying these records, but great playing, but the music wasn't great. Composition, it was like, here's a head, because it still used that bebop mentality. Here's a head, blah, 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 now let's solo. So my concept was much more of a rock and roll approach. Let's think of it as a song. Here's a melody. Let's make sure that melody is very strong and with interesting harmony. There's more jazz harmony, but it's really rock with jazz. It's instrumental rock with jazz harmony. That's kind of where I came from. And that was really for the outline for how protocol should be.
Okay. One last thing before Marcus killed me. What do you get out of drumming today after all these years? What does it give you?
It's home. I love it.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, you know, it's the only time somebody can't actually talk to you or get to you. You know, and no matter what's going on, it'll still be. It's my love and life and it's creative because every time I sit down, I will come up with some sort of composition because I've kind of taught myself to play like that. Every time you sit down, create. It's that's why even practicing, one of the things I portray in the clinic is your practice session is still playing. You still have to create as you're practicing. And even if you learn something as simple as a paradiddle, you can play it as a paradiddle and leave it at that. Or you can make it really musical and make it sound and feel good. That's important. The touch is still the same thing. It's still right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. But if you can make it sound so beautiful, that's to me is the art. You know, when I look at Billy Cobham and he plays a Ratamacue, it's just the tone, everything. Lenny White, when he just plays a straight, simple, straight ahead groove, the touch of that cymbal is just, you know, that to me is what it's about. And it doesn't matter if you're in a drum store and you sit down and just start playing a kit, it's not tuned right or anything. Always think that that's your opportunity to create music. And that's maybe the biggest message I get out in the clinic, is that it's all music.
Beautiful way to sum up our meeting. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.